This works. Preparing. Setting up.
Yeah, it says that it's streaming on YouTube now.
All right, so I can click anything here. All right. I think we might actually be doing it. Okay, so this is a backdrop outreach meeting. Today is Thursday, September 5th. Okay, yeah. And we have been chatting a little bit about the new preview release before we turn on the recording, because that's relevant for outreach. But really quickly, there's one very big thing on the agenda that we should talk about, and that is Bad Camp, upcoming event. We have a half-day training on Wednesday, a full-day mini camp on Thursday, a single session at one point during the weekend, and then on Sunday, we're going to do a sprint. So we need to figure out ways to promote these things. I was thinking we could put a blog post on backdropcms.org. I was thinking maybe we should do a bunch of blog posts. In particular, I want to do a separate one for the mini camp because we have the session submission form that needs to go in there. And that's going to take up a lot of space. So I don't know if that mini camp might deserve an entire post on its own. We could also just put like mostly mini camp. And then, by the way, there's also training sessions, sprint on there at the bottom. That could work. And then let's see, I set up some tweets to go out this week and next week. What other ways should we promote Bad Camp for Backdrop? Backdrop for Bad Camp?
Do we have any list of emails of people that have really...
We could send a newsletter. We have our MailChimp list. We could send a message out to all of those people about Bad Camp coming up and the backdrop events at it specifically. I think that's probably a very valid use of our newsletter. We could also put a little blurb in there about 114. 114 will be out by Bad Camp, but we could put a little like coming soon, help us test preview release if we wanted. We might get some more curious people doing that.
Yeah, I think that maybe we should create a task list for the pre-releases after all, because that's something that we should be doing, calling people to test the pre-release.
Yeah, it's a little strange to use the marketing list to ask for developer tasks. But this is the kind of thing that I think that if we had better segmentation of that list, we could send it to a subset of all of our people, and that might have us opt into like developer focused whatevers. But I think like as part of a bigger newsletter with other information that's relevant, that's totally valid. So if we could do that for every preview release, so it's not like a standalone email to them, but something that's like, here's some news, by the way, there's also a preview, I think that would be really good.
Yeah.
We just need to find news.
It could be a teaser before the release, actually, what's coming up.
Yeah. And then we do always send we just made a release newsletter. Yeah. So, and that usually comes 2 weeks after this. That's going to be about a month after the one ahead of time. So that could be really good. You do one like on the 1st or 2nd or 5th or whenever it is. That's like, here's a bunch of news. By the way, we're going to do a release. And then like a month later, the other one that's like, the new version's here. Have you tried it? And that might help us get more newsletters out.
We actually sent the email for the stable release, like the minor version, 2 weeks after the fact,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the reason for that is that we wait for any bugs to be...
Any major bugs to be identified. And then if we have to do a bug fix release, we want to push the bug fix release to Pantheon before we tell people to try it, because a lot of people use the try it on Pantheon button, or used to. That might be less of an issue now that we have our demo button. We could drive people to the demo page instead.
Yeah, and the other thing is that now that we do pre-releases, maybe we don't have to do that.
That's what we thought until the last release. And I think until we're sure enough people are testing the pre-release, it might still be a good idea to wait a couple weeks.
Fair enough. So if we had metrics and then we had an option in the product that says, inform me about pre-releases. Yeah, I was thinking maybe that way we could get some metrics on how many people actually want to test the pre-releases.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Newsletter, Twitter, Facebook. I'll put some stuff on Facebook. Anything else you can think of that we might want to promote? We could do a little video even showing off some of the new things in Backdrop 114. That's something that we haven't been doing that might be really good. That might also be something that could help get really people excited about stuff that's coming soon. That might help make sure people stay up to date on minor version releases, where it's like, hey, you know, oh, a new version of Backdrop's out. It's fine. My site's fine the way it is. But if you see a video where you're like, oh, I really want that thing that just went in, then you'd be more incentivized to update. So that could be good. Okay, that's great.
What is the next item? The how to unbranded pages? What's that?
Yeah, so that's just something I wanted to do where you take off the header and footer. It's something that's really appealing to like people that just want to throw up a marketing page that, you know, I don't want to have a separate website, but maybe I could like point a domain name at it. I want to manage it in my CMS. Maybe I want a special landing page, but I don't want it to have any of the existing branding on it because this product is different. It's really hard to do that in Drupal, and that's something, or even in WordPress. And that's something that's super easy in Backdrop. So I think it's a good selling point, and I'd love to do a video about it.
Yeah, where the header and the footer are completely black. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I had a great example of like a chunk of markup that you could throw in there and then like have it like style the page differently. I think that would make a really compelling video rather than I keep looking at it and I'm like, this is a test block. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you get the point, but it's not quite.
I think that we mentioned doing that for the login page to resemble what WordPress and Joomla do. That sort of like it's. I think
there's a core issue for a separate layout for the login register page.
Yeah.
I am not entirely sure how I feel about that. I feel like there's value in knowing which website you're registering for. And when you end up on a page that doesn't look the same, like I think it's a different thing for sites like WordPress and Joomla, where they assume that the administrator is not an everyday user of the site. Where with Drupal and with Backdrop, the users are, it's more like a forum where it's like, this is the thing you're going to log into and you're going to interact with it. And so like content creation is not an administrative task. And like the way that you enter the website should be a more like public facing thing. Whereas with WordPress and Joomla, you're entering a back end of the site. And with Drupal, Backdrop, there isn't really that separation of front back in the same way as there is on those other tools. So I don't know. I feel like we should make sure people can do that, right? Because there are people who use their Drupal and Backdrop sites exactly the way people use WordPress and Joomla sites, and they might want that feature. And so the ability to override the login page and remove the branding is key. Maybe that would make for a good example in the video, but I'm not sure we should do that by default in core. But I don't know. It's open for discussion. I'm getting excited about the issue, but we'll see. I mean, if most people want it, we should do it.
I think it's more valid to get rid of the tabs or make them
yeah.
I think that's more, maybe that's for the design meeting, but yeah, anyways, it's a more valid thing request than removing the header and the footer necessarily. Yeah.
Okay, so let me make some notes for today. To-do. We are going to write a blog post about bad camp. We are going to write tweets and Facebook posts. We are going to make a video for the 114 release. We are going to other stuff.
By the way, I think it's a good time to update the roadmap now because we're not getting other features in.
Yep,
so
that would be great. We're going to create a checklist for preview releases. And that can include stuff like update the roadmap.
Yeah.
Publish.
Yeah, the same time that we do the release is where we have the feature freeze. So yeah, makes perfect sense.
Also, maybe we should have a discussion about when change notices and documentation about the features go live on the website, especially the API site. What I have been doing with change notices is as soon as they're created or as soon as the merge goes, as soon as we merge the feature, the change notice goes live. So the change notice is for like current head. But the documentation, I think, is more focused on like people who are using regular sites. So if we're going to publish that early, I think you're right that we should always have something that says like as of whatever version the thing went in. And then we should have an item in the preview release that's like publish the page, and then an item in the actual release, it's like remove the notice saying that it will be available in the future or something like that. But if anyone has disagreements to the order or timing of any of those things, that's also open for discussion.
Yeah, I think that in general, we should be making a more fuss about the upcoming release when we are close to the, or when we hit the feature freeze. As in maybe a header somewhere or a banner in the main site. And then this is a discussion to be had with Nate. See when we get to the demo backdrop page, maybe a second button that say the one that currently says create demos.
I feel like we just need a separate page, like a separate. So I'm not sure I want to send people who are just trying to try the software to a page that asks them any questions. I think we just want to like give them the software. But I think that if we had that exact same page that was like demo the preview release and was like branded preview release, that might be the perfect thing that we could drive people directly to that page from a link that was like try the preview release. And that way we wouldn't interfere with any of the current demo option, but we would give them exactly the same thing. And I think that might also be easier to set up on our end because it wouldn't require any changes to what is there now. We just have like one that pulls from head or a particular tag, and then the other one that pulls from the current stable release. So yeah, I think you're right. We should open an issue against backdropcms.org, tag Nate in it because he did all of the current tugboat setup stuff, and see how easy or hard that is to get going.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Would we need a separate tugboat account, or can it be done on the same account, like specifying
I think it can be done in the same account. We might need like a separate key for a new site or something. I don't know. So you can have as many sandboxes as you want at any one time. So I would assume that you could have them from different sources. I don't know. Don't know. Well, ask me. Okay. Anything else?
Do you think we should link that from the homepage when there's a new pre-release available or something?
I think we should look at the site and figure out places that we can put a block. And that could be like right below the header on every page, or that could be like on the homepage in a particular region. It could be at the top of like the developer documentation pages. Just, it would be good to kind of click through the site and be like, is this a suitable place to promote that or not? And then we could drive traffic to that new sandbox tugboat, what have you, whatever it is. But yeah, I think for now, if we wanted to put that block up. We could still do that, but we should link to the downloaded, like link to the GitHub page where it's like, here's the preview release. So that it is like, this is.
Yeah, so the goal in my head is that we need to get people that are technical to test and report any problems between feature freeze and the actual release. And then we need to get people that are not as technical, a safe environment where they can test the new features and get them excited about them.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to start talking about those new features.
Yeah. And I think that if we can get that tugboat thing, that'll solve the less technical testers.
But you still think that it will be better as a separate page instead of in the same with the demo, so that the current demo page should be strictly for the people testing it as a possible solution in an actual. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
It's like a marketing tool rather than like a sandbox like we have on our pull requests.
Which brings a matter up of see how we currently have it, that it runs the installer as well. So when we actually solved, like about a month or 2 months ago, when we solved the problems that we had with the demo, I just I provided the link to the people in my agency, and they always tease me about it, of course, but one of them came back with a really legitimate thing and said, I have to do the installer thing, you lost me.
Yeah.
So maybe look, because it is like, I think when we discussed it, Nate said that we could possibly skip the installer, but we want to test that as well.
Yeah.
So if the demo is meant for people that want to test the product, maybe the installer is not something that we should be throwing at them.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like all these ideas. I would love to skip the installer on the main demo button. I also think it's important to have the installer for testing purposes. That's probably fine, because I know the sandbox doesn't give us that, right? So if we could move that to the preview release version, that would be really cool. Also, I wonder if we should have it be like test the previews, or it should be like latest head, because if we fix stuff, we also want people to not keep reporting the same bugs. But yeah, that could be really fun. So it could be like test the moving target, and that could be something anyone could use at any time. Like you could always have that link up there, or be like, oh, I want to see what's coming soon, and people would like poke at it.
Not only that, but if it's the X, it also includes bug fixes, right?
Yeah.
So we could tell people, can you test it on the sandbox and just confirm that it was fixed?
Yeah.
Ideally, people will be doing that in the PR sandboxes, but if someone comes after the fact, and while the bug
after things are merged too.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to see
that. When the sandbox is gone, but then they're cautious, or they don't want to put dev releases. Yeah. I'm not sure how easy it would be to have the installer as a checkbox, like underneath the create demo sandbox button for both the current demo and the head, like the latest.
I don't think we should do it on the current demo. I think if we can get the thing to not run the installer, we should have it not run the installer. But I think on the current head version, maybe we do always run the installer, and then we wouldn't need to ask people a question either way.
Yeah, because we want to test it as well.
Yeah. Do we have an issue for this? Can you make us one?
There were many ideas. Which ones? Create a
backdropcms.org, set up a new, well, there's two, I guess. One of them is skip the installer, and the current one, I think we have that already. And then the other one is set up a new landing page from Tugboat that points at the latest head on our live site.
All right, those two. I'll create those two, and I'll bring them up when Nate joins us for the dev meeting.
Okay. I'm not sure if he's going to join us. He's gotten on site in Pittsburgh today. And so it'll depend on like what he's doing at that hour, if he's allowed to step out or not.
Yeah, no worries. I'll create those issues.
Okay. Anything else we need to talk about today, specifically relating to outreach or 114 or anything else?
Yeah, usually I'm not doing a lot about evangelizing Backdraft. So the only thing is that I did apply for a session in for the Drupal South thing. That's in November. So I didn't hear back yet. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's it, then why don't we go ahead and wrap this meeting and get prepared for the next one. So
Yep.
you guys are available. See you in about 15 minutes.